It's official, as a shocking new report from a New York Rangers insider has revealed the truth on Peter Laviolette's future with this organization. And we also have some comments from Peter Laviolette on this past season and some interesting tidbits on locker cleanout day and the exit interviews that are going to happen early next week. And some of it is going to surprise Rangers fans. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, as next week is going to be a very busy week. It looks like we're going to get some news on, of course, coaching staff. We're going to get some news on management and something about James Dolan that is going to blow your mind. I'm going to cover it later in this video, but it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss anything that's going to happen with this Rangers team. But let's dive into the first thing, which was this morning, and it was from Molly Walker. And there was a couple different storylines that she was covering through this, and Peter Laviolette's Rangers future still hangs in the balance. That was the biggest thing. And there was some interesting, go check out this article, by the way, because JT Miller acknowledged, the long year that he had in Vancouver and some of the stuff with some of his teammates and coaching over there. It's a good article. It's a good piece. Go check it out. But one thing that I pulled from this was Peter Laviolette's future still hangs in the balance. And just an hour after that was released, Vince Mercogliano, no days off Vince Mercogliano, on Saturday, on Easter weekend, comes out with this absolute bombshell new report. And he said, still no smoke signals or official word from the New York Rangers. But here's an update for those asking on this Saturday morning. The first thing is the prevailing belief remains that the Rangers will be moving on from Peter Laviolette. I get the sense they want to get through the holiday weekend before finalizing any decision. That's kind of something that I was talking about, the last couple of days, that we didn't get any official word yet, but it looks like by all accounts they will be moving off of Peter Laviolette. But I do believe that they wanted to wait through this weekend, because I think it's just a respect thing. Obviously, this is a holiday weekend. You don't want to fire somebody this weekend. So I like that from the organization. There's a lot of things I don't like from the organization. We'll get to that as well. But I do think that it's more of a respect thing. I like that. And on top of it, I think they want Peter Laviolette around for these exit interviews, which I think are taking place on Monday or Tuesday of next week. So, or this week coming, I should say. So I think that they want him around to kind of see his thoughts and pair it together with everyone else's thoughts, and in terms of player personnel, of course. But the other thing that I think is interesting as it pertains to exit interviews that are coming next week is it sounds like owner James Dolan is considering a more active role. I didn't even read the next part of that. I stopped right there and went, oh no, first of all, myself, and I know everybody who heard that, read that already before I got to it, went, oh no, just from that part alone. He wants to take a more active role in exit meetings with players, which he also did for the Knicks last year and found constructive. So do with that what you will. It sounds like he's not going to be making any decisions himself, although we all know that he has the power to do that, and if he wants to do it, he will. So do with that what you will. But it sounds like he will be in the process. He will be, integrating or putting himself in that process this year, where he will be listening in on whatever's happening, or at least, asking Chris Drury or whoever else through the exit interviews, what happened, to kind of make decisions based on that. So very interesting stuff. First of all, again, just to recap, Peter Laviolette gone after this weekend. We don't know what day, but gone after this weekend. Second thing is James Dolan's taking a more active role with the team. Pause for absolute despair that I hear from the fan base right now. So very interesting stuff. We also have some interesting comments from not only Peter Laviolette, but I want to start with some of the players. And one from Vincent Trocheck, who I believe is either going to be an assistant captain or the captain of this team next year. It's either him or JT Miller. I've said it a lot over the last couple of days and videos. And Vincent Trocheck on the pressure at the start of the season versus the pressure of this season being the last run for the core. A very strong response in Johnny Lazarus' opinion. And he went on to say, and this is Vincent Trocheck, I think there's always pressure on us. Obviously, we go to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. There's a little bit more added pressure in a big city like New York, but that's no excuse. There's pressure, which I like that, by the way, him saying that. There's no pressure on every team around the league. There's pressure on every team around the league. I mean, I still think even after this season, I know what this team is capable of. We saw it last year, and it's a different team at this point. There's no Jacob Trouba and a couple other pieces like Gaudreau as well, but there are some really, really good young pieces on this team now if they're utilized properly. And he went on to say, I don't think anybody was really listening to the noise about it being the last go around this team. That's just, couch GMs, I guess. Nobody really knows what this team is going to look like next year. There's always turnover, so it's tough to pinpoint one thing. I think we all have things in mind that we want to fix, and we're going to go into the summer with an open mind and try to figure out what we can to make things better. So that's a leader right there. Not overreacting to too much, which I think can be a good thing at times. But he's going to wear a letter next year. That's for sure. I do believe that. And in terms of, comments from the coach, Peter Laviolette, he went on to say, in terms of this season, those are things I can't control, and not just the season. He was also referring to, all the noise right now about him possibly getting fired in that report from Pierre LeBrun and also Frank Saravalli, who had it the last couple of days. He said, those are things I can't control. The year certainly wasn't where it needed to be, but right now I'm here, and this is where I want to be. And unfortunately for him, even if he wants to be here, I don't think that he can take this team in the direction that they need to go with the player personnel that they have in place right now. I think Chris Drury recognizes that. I think by all accounts, like we've heard from 3 insiders at this point, he is going to be relieved of his duties next week. So again, it's unfortunate, and I know Chris Drury, has fired a couple coaches already. This is the last one, ladies and gentlemen. There is no more after this. This is your last coach. You either fix the thing or it's over for you. But we'll see what happens with that. And one other thing I wanted to touch on in terms of performances this year, because that was obviously the biggest thing. Nobody really performed. Peter Laviolette was letting the inmates run the asylum per se, right? So there was a lot of that going on. And, a lot of the players kind of, quitting on the team. We covered that with Chris Drury as well, or not Chris Drury, Chris Kreider, quitting on Chris Drury essentially. But Zibanejad, this is about Zibanejad, and from Statboy Steven, he said, this pretty much ends any debate about Zibanejad waiving his no movement clause. And obviously this is the quote that we covered in a video yesterday of Zibanejad saying, I know what my contract says, both parties agree to it. I don't want to go anywhere, essentially. Listen, anything can happen. If they want to move off Zibanejad, and I think his performance this season really improved when they traded for JT Miller. So Mika before JT Miller, he had 29 points in 50 games. Absolutely abysmal. And after JT Miller was traded for and he played on JT Miller's line, 33 points in 32 games. So he was over a point a game player with JT Miller. So I do think this is a player you can keep, and he can still be a very good player, especially with a new coach. But depending on what he says in the exit interview, and I know we're not going to get quotes from the exit interviews, but I'm sure we're going to get some things that are going to come out from them. Depending on what he says, there is a world you can move off of him. If he doesn't want to be here, then you can move off of him. We saw with Jacob Trouba and Barclay Goodrow. They both had no movement clauses. So there is absolutely a world they move off of him. But I do still think this is a great player. And again, have his jersey on the wall. I think very highly of Mika Zibanejad, and I think he's a good player and that he can figure it out. And obviously he did. Once JT Miller was traded for, crazy things happen when you're playing with a little bit of juice on your line, right? But the two were on the ice together for 225 plus minutes. Whoever coaches this team next season may want to keep these two together, just a hunch. So again, I think it's going to be very interesting heading into this offseason, what they end up doing with the team. So let me know in the comments what you think about what they're going to do with the team, with Peter Laviolette. By all accounts, again, I'll show you the report. I mean, it's looking like, first of all, ownership is going to take a bigger role in the exit interviews. That's going to be interesting to keep tabs on, and what leaks from that. That's going to be fun as well. And not fun for the team, that's for sure. We saw what happened last summer when things leaked. And Peter Laviolette will be gone as soon as next week. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. The last thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap up today is Sam Rosen. Hadn't had a chance to talk about him really since he officially retired. Look at this resume here. I mean, the play-by-play announcer for the New York Rangers since 1984, 2016 Hockey Hall of Fame inductee, 13 seasons as a radio broadcaster. Again, so many accolades for him, and you got the trademarks there. It's a power play goal. They're on their feet at the Garden, stuff like that. There's so many more. Just want to take a moment to acknowledge him and the fact that the final minute against the Tampa Bay Lightning was awesome too. So if you haven't had a chance, go back. And, if you're at the Garden or you missed the game, go back and watch this as well. You can find that on X or YouTube or wherever. I'm sure it's out there. But just wanted to acknowledge that as well. So let me know what you think in the comments about Sam Rosen as well. But again, let me know what you think about everything discussed in the video today. A lot of interesting information coming out still about the New York Rangers. And next week is going to be absolutely hectic. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.